Hello, Keyforge world. We have a special stream for you today. KAGI 7.0 final with Quickdraw versus Ashitaka. It's one of the unique tournaments in the world. It's going to be lots of fun. And of course, I'm joined today with special co-host Zach Armstrong. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing very well, Zach. Very well. Very excited to have the honor of being present for a Kagi final. I love full adaptive. I love the drama, and I love these competitors.
Definitely. And we have some competitors. Quickdraw and Ashitaka, they have a little bit of a history actually. This is a rematch of
That's
Kage
right.
3.0,
That's right.
and Ashitaka actually was in the finals last season. So um, they have a lot of history.
For sure. For sure. Both these players are regulars on the online Keyforge competitive scene, and so you know it's going to be good.
Definitely. They're also facing off in NKFL, and they're in the same division. They're in the top three. The last game of the season is going to be against each other. That might determine who's the winner.
Wow.
This could be
Wow.
the second win of Kagi for Quick Draw, which would tie him for Not Tonight as the most wins ever in
That's right. And we have
Kagi.
not tonight viewing the match, seeing if her record will be tied today. I see.
Definitely. And this is Ashitaka's third final. So
Wow.
that's more than anybody. So
Yeah,
we
that's very impressive.
yeah, we really have two great ambassadors to give us an amazing show. Yes, and hello everybody in the chat. Thank you for watching. Let's take a quick look at the decks that we will be facing off tonight. We have Le Double Malefique de S. Flores Impenetrable versus Boss R. Eriksdotter. And so the DT deck, of course, being brought by Quickdraw, and the AOA deck being brought by Ashitaka.
Hmm. Yeah, both of these are have a lot of classic exemplary cards of their set. The Dark Tidings being that is an evil twin deck with double evil Witch of the Dawn, evil twin Chelonia, evil twin for that recursion and that amber loss along with Hings and Gross. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in there. And the AOA deck rocking plenty of exhumes, wild wormholes, and a couple other things.
Oh, yes, we are in for a treat. Double Witch of the Dawn, Evil Witch of the Dawn with Beach Day can get really nutty really fast.
Hmm.
This will be able to generate lots of embers, so we'll see if they can capitalize, if they can set up those plays. And Boss our Eric's daughter, Ashitaka has been playing that a lot in this tournament. He's very familiar with it. Um, a really fun AOA deck, only one A for Ember Control, and really that's just cutthroat research.
Mm. So really, if they never go above 7, then there's zero amber control. Makes for
Yes.
a very interesting matchup for sure.
So let us jump right in. Let them know that they're ready to get started, and I'm excited.
Me too.
Fudgenator says both of the best sets on display today.
AOA and Dark Tidings for sure. They certainly have their fans. Certainly have their fans. Looking forward to, let's see here. So yeah, we have a redacted President and Boss are Eric's daughter, which is certainly going to be an interesting artifact to see if and when it comes out in either match and how that kind of swings the match. There is a little bit of artifact control and washed away, which just requires the high tide, and then it can destroy artifacts in the opposing deck. along with Hings and Gross. I don't know if that gets gross, uh, gets gross in this deck, but so quick draw opening with Pterodactyl. Pterodactyl, awfully fun. Ashitaka with old Yerk Exhume, old Yerk Exhume, playing Lord Golgotha, and also dropping a life ward, getting that ready to stop some creatures later.
Yeah, a fast start on both sides. Quick draw goes back
Hmm.
in the Saurian. Altruist Rostrum, humble to exhaust Lord Golgotha. Senator Quintina, so there's going to be some Ember on our creatures if they start reaping, and exhaust and Pterodactyl.
Hmm. And notably, old Yerk was used to discard Lord Golgotha. Then the Exhume brought Golgotha back out. So cute and effective little play there. Exhume, Exhume bringing Yerk back out after the Quintina was fought. Let's see what gets discarded. Radiant Truth and Oath of Poverty going
Getting
down.
lots of great use out of that old Yerk.
Hmm. Yeah, that's two Exhumes out of three already. Creeping Oblivion to purge just the two cards in that discard pile. And now the Life Ward. The Life Ward has been popped, preventing Quick Draw from playing playing anything else. And that deck has 19 creatures, and we've only seen goodness, two of them. So depending on what Quick Draw's hand looks like, that might be a little tough.
And with the Life Ward, of course, he's having to discard a few
Mm.
of them as well.
Yes, Console Primus with two Capture Pips and Lapiosaurus going into the discard pile. And an Ostracize purging, it looks like. Yes, purging the Lord Golgotha. Definitely going to help keep aboard if Lord Golgotha's not around anymore.
And Ashitaka coming back with the ZYX researcher archiving the Life Ward. That could be huge in the future.
Hmm.
And Redacted
Yeah.
coming out fairly early and getting the check.
Yep, that's right. With with that, there are eight logos cards left, so it actually might be viable to keep pushing towards a second normal key while trying to call enough times to get redacted working there.
Ooh, and quick
Dark,
draw. Yeah,
mhm.
go ahead.
Yeah, Dark Tidings, Hings and Gross coming out. There's nobody on the other side of the board, so there's a bit of a threat with drawing at least two cards. I don't know if there's any deploy in the deck, but at least two cards with the Hings Gross combo here.
Yeah, and Ashitaka does get the key, but will he be able to respond to the Hings and Gross? He's got limited control left. Potentially Banish or a Hysteria or a
Hmm.
Smite might do it.
It's also up to Ashitaka if dealing with Hings and Gross isn't a direct and easy choice. It's also up to Ashitaka to select whether or not um, two creatures getting +1 power and drawing two cards off of a Hings is even worth it, right? So that's a bit of a choice here.
Definitely.
Now
He
that yeah,
he really probably needs to just try and speed to the victory.
yeah. That is often the choice. I know there's the old, I want to say 2003 Magic the Gathering blog post, who's the beatdown, right? It's, do you push yourself towards the victory condition as fast as possible, or is it better to actually sit back and control your opponent a little bit, just take the wheels off their vehicle and then glide across the finish line yourself? So very
Def
difficult to calculate in Keyforge.
Yeah, and with the double Witch of the Dawn, in the future, they also might be able to get a Hing's turn off of an Untamed turn. Um,
Oh, that's right.
we'll see if that happens. There's also, of course, the shenanigans with Deepwater Gruin to generate a lot of Ember.
Hmm.
Lots of options.
Looks like Ashitaka played Sanctum, just played a couple cards, dropped a Sir Marrows, and then Quick Draw. Ambervac has activated, grabbed two Amber, and Officer's Blaster is coming down onto a gung. I assume they're going to give Pterodactyl Star Alliance. Yep. Zap coming out. It sits Sir Marrows. Pterodactyl finishes off that Sir Marrows. So some good just board state solidification here by Quick Draw.
Yeah,
Drawing a couple cards, getting some extra power.
That is one thing I've noticed. Quickdraw has been fighting early and often, keeping that board clear,
Mm.
and he did draw two with Hings. However, no cards played after that.
Ashitaka dropping another oh no, it was the old life ward archived by ZYX researcher. Call of the week takes out Gross. Call of the week takes out Gross there. That was a choice between Hings and Gross, and then banish archiving Pterodactyl. I think that's a good choice with the Ampervac, of course, and then Yerk is discarding Protect the Weak, a Sanctum card.
And they're back to check again already with 8 Ember.
That's right. There was a gain of 6 Amber in that turn. Let's see. Life Ward, Call the Weak, Misery Exploit gained 1, Banish gained 1. Oh, and then, of course,
2
banishing the
Ember.
Pterodactyl got the
Yeah.
captured Amber. Okay. That was, I
Okay.
did not expect a burst that big.
And we're first getting into Untamed here in Quickdraw. Quickdraw does have some with the Evil Twin Chelonia,
Mm-hmm.
some Ember control in Untamed. We'll
And notably, the Washed Away had just come out and destroyed both the Life Ward and the Redacted, both which could have been, if they were allowed to live, big pieces for Ashitaka.
Ooh, playing the Console Primus off the Witch of the Dawn, capturing
Mm.
2, and then being able to use the
Oh,
Primus to move one
that's
over.
good.
What a
That's
play.
really good. Oh my gosh, getting the play and then the use off of those capture pips, that is amazing. That
Now,
is a cool deck.
do they have the Beach Day in hand as well? Because if they do, they could do it again.
And
And
they
they
could, yeah, they
do.
could get, yes. Will it be back to Hings and Gross here? Com Officer Hings. Yep, there it is. Again, not huge numbers, but a couple reaps off of Hings with 2 cars each is gonna add up
It
to just a
is.
little bit of extra speed.
And they
Yep,
are back to check already.
amazing.
Actually, up to 9 Ember. Do they have more? A Deepwater Gruin, 11 Ember. And we already know Ashitaka, all they have is a Cutthroat Resource which has already been played.
Yep, multiple growth surge going on here. That's a 6 power Hings, a 6 power Witch of the Dawn, an 8 power Diplomatic Gong, and a 6 power Gross. And that is check at 11. Ashitaka acknowledging the combo.
So Ashitaka has to get to check here or they lose because Quickdraw
Yeah,
can get to check easily the next turn.
and there's nothing doing if that happens.
Yep. What a churn.
Have to force the choice for quick draw. I mean, it's already looking a bit bad. If Ashitaka does get to check, maybe quick draw can take them off of check and get to check themselves, but
Yep.
TBD. So yeah, getting to check is really the only out I'm seeing currently.
And people in the chat loving the DT combos.
Oh yeah,
Coming
that
out
was
with the DT copy pasta.
that is when DT is a spectator sport. That's for sure. When you get huge power, lots of Witch of the Dawn plays, Hings and Gross. That was spectator sport for sure. Ashitaka acknowledging the washed away, coming a little too soon from their point of view. Quick Draw saying I needed it for sure. So that's looking like the one of the key moments in this game, especially since I'd have to check my turns. But if that life ward had lived, Ashitaka likely could have popped it right before this combo turn, if they were predicting well. Which, if you're in the KAGI finals, you can.
Yeah, it might not matter just because they played it at the beginning of that giant combo.
Hmm. Oh, it was on that same turn. Okay.
I forget how
Life forward. Oh,
high
you're right. You're right.
redacted was, so they may have been able to get that up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was at most I want to say 2, but yes, the washed away that turn was so long I thought it was multiple turns. The washed away was at the start of the combo turn. We have Helper Bot Project ZYX coming out. I have not really seen a ZYX play from archives before. I would love to see that today. But getting to 3 amber, Wild Wormhole plays poking the Witch of the Dawn, protect the weak on Helperbot, which is cute and hilarious. And that's Ashitaka's turn, ending at 3 amber.
So it looks like Quickdraw has it. They're thinking what to do, just probably going through, making sure there's no other outs for Ashitaka. Going into Untamed with Chelonia. Let's see if they can make him lose some Ember here. Oh, the Key Frog comes out, but no way to kill it, at least on this turn.
Yeah, so that's check at 7. Ah. Ashitaka with the cheeky victory acknowledgement by fighting off their opponent's own key frog. I respect that. I respect that. Also, I've just now popped out chat. I don't know what's going on with the Zach and Zoke power comparisons here.
Well, you may not have seen it, but we each have our own creature card as part of the stream.
Ah,
And
yes, I had the stream up briefly, but popped out chat and closed it.
yes, very stylish play from Ashitaka. I like it.
That's some good sports personship there
Yep.
for
Okay,
sure.
so swapping decks, and here we go again. Can Ashitaka have the same luck or skill to set up the same kind of Witch of the
Mm,
Dawn play? When will Redacted come? When will the Washed Away come? So many
hmm.
unknowns. And what
Yep,
else haven't we seen?
yep. Will the life ward happen? Will we get a big Chelonia Amber lost turn? There's all sorts of things that could still happen here. Sutterkin's a threat as well, especially for the AOA deck with one card of sort of Amber control. And then, of course, the competitors, if we do go to a game 3, having to evaluate, is what we saw in the first 2 games representative of the average matchup that the third game might be? And, how do you approach the chain bidding at that point?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the chain bidding can also be about not just a speed or overall power difference in the matchup, but also if an opposing deck has a hard counter to your deck, like the washed away, and that sort of thing, or like the washed away, do you vote it up higher in chains because it has that hard combo or that
Definitely. And
hard
already
counter?
we're seeing the difficulty of playing with your opponent's deck, with Ashitaka not knowing whether to keep or mulligan the starting hand.
That's
Always a
right.
tough decision.
That's right. Especially when you're playing an opponent's deck. Now, I don't know the excuse me overall history of the players and decks to know how well Ashitaka um, might know S Flores, the impenetrable here.
I believe
You
this
know,
is newly played by Quickdraw. I don't believe he's played it before. He wanted to come in with something new, if I understood. And I'm sure
mm,
Not Tonight probably can tell us from the chat. But this is definitely something that everybody knows that Ashitaka plays.
gotcha. That's fantastic. Sounds like Ashitaka has met it before from the French Keyforge Association. Ashitaka opening with the Venator Altum. As far as power cards go, just cards that are beefy. I love Venator Altum. That's really not much of a downside, especially with all the exalting synergy you have in Saurian.
Yeah, and an interesting play from Quickdraw, coming down with just one Logos card and archiving the top of the deck.
Interesting.
So
That
could they be setting up?
Yeah, there must be a lot of another house in hand that they're kind of waiting on to see if they drew, or maybe waiting. No, not waiting for a lot of amber because Ashitaka is not going to go to 8. I would assume here because 6 you're guaranteed to forge the key. And discarding the key frog, Witch of the Dawn. Ah, here it comes. Key Frog gonna fight into that ZYX researcher, I assume, or maybe just reap. No, no, reaping. That's right, because the other deck cannot stop it. Spoke too soon. There's the Key
Double
Frog
witch
Forge.
already.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, that is an amazing play. That is an amazing play because Ashitaka used that Key Frog to forge at 7, get rid of all that amber into the key, playing the Deepwater Gruin to jump up amber again with 1 key and 4 amber, completely dodging the Cutthroat Research and racing ahead of a deck that honestly needs to race you itself.
Definitely.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, I would love to dissect that turn for like 10 minutes because they had both double witches on the Deepwater Gruin and the Beach Day and the Keep Frog. Could have been done even better. I mean, they are way ahead. So,
Yeah, I mean, as far as results go, they're in a very strong place, and of course, Ashitaka was thinking, thinking of the right way to play it. That's why the sequencing, especially in some of the later sets of Keyforge, and even sometimes in AOA and Coda, the sequencing is such an art and a science, and the decision tree of a single turn sometimes is so complicated. That's one of the reasons I love this game.
oh, absolutely. So, with a commanding lead, Quickdraw does do a little bit of board control with a Banish, a Cold a Week, and an Exhume.
The Exhume didn't even have a target, did it?
No, they didn't have any creatures in the discard.
Hmm. Not a place you want to be.
Ashitaka, though, getting an encounter suit on Diplomat a Gung and getting a check for their second key.
Hmm. That's a strong position. That is a strong position. Project ZYX coming out redacted. I've got to say, with those small turn drops without a whole lot of utility, I'm not seeing a lot of paths for quick draw to the victory here. Would love to be wrong, but I'm not seeing a lot of paths to the W.
Well, I definitely agree. And they took their archive for that one, too. So they only played one card from hand there. So that's even more
Fascinating.
interesting.
Yeah, that really is. Shout out to chat. Love seeing everybody in there. Fudginator, the are of course our worthy KAGI organizer. Not tonight. Floxamol. Venator Altum, Quintina, Primus coming down. I love that console Primus. Magister Vita coming down. I believe that is the play fight. You may exalt and friendly Donsorian if you do fight with it. I'm not sure if we'll see that. We'll see that ability used. Might not need it. There's nothing ready that can take out Project ZYX. And don't know how much of a threat Project ZYX is at the moment. Back over to Quick Draw, a Healing Blast, Protect the Weak on ZYX, two Protect the Weaks on ZYX, and just crawling towards key number one. Crawling towards key number one.
What was nice there for him, though, is he did get the Sir Marrows out to hopefully protect him from some reaping.
Sure. That's a good point.
If he can,
Project ZYX as a 5/3 is a good protection there.
yeah, definitely. If he can protect that long term, maybe he can start to gain a little traction. The
We
second
do
Deepwater
have,
Gruin coming out
yep,
and
and we
washed
do,
away.
that evil twin Chelonia coming for the amber loss on each play here. Growth surge going on the Chelonia and over. A couple reaps going on to Sir Marrows. Checking the Dark Tidings deck's creature control. Ashitaka forgot Sir Marrow, and that is a part of competition, keeping
Yeah.
all of those factors in your mind. So Ashitaka not actually getting to check here with that Amber stored on AOA's quite literal poster child. Quick draw up to 7. Is it enough?
They do get to check, but they don't take care of that Chelonia, so Ashitaka has probably a pretty clear path to get him off a check.
Mm-hmm. While going to check themselves, I would anticipate.
Indeed.
Fabulosing with a very good point. We found the amber control after all. Yes, it's right there and it has a name. Its name is Sir Marrow's. Very good point, Fabulosing.
It saved him for a turn. Will it be enough? Here comes the fighting. I think we're going to see Sir Marrows die an untimely death.
Very timely if you're Ashitaka, but yes.
Yes,
More reaping amber going on to Sir Marrow's because I believe, yes, we've seen the cutthroat research. And ZYX researcher is out already. How many of those are there? Just two. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to get that back into somehow get it into the archives and play it again so they can safely go as big as possible. And all the Cermeros and Tentacuses in the world won't step the key because yeah, most of those are under your opponent's control.
add check with 13 Ember. Okay, so very soon they got to be thinking about keys for this matchup.
Yep, that is a dominating win by the Dark Tidings deck.
Indeed.
Ashitaka acknowledging they had a very good draw. And of course, we as the commentators have to acknowledge Ashitaka also played that very good draw very, very well.
Absolutely.
To a dominating three keys, seven amber, one key to two amber versus there.
And something like that, both of those games we saw the double Witch of the Dawn, the Beach Day, and the Deepwater Gruin on the same turn.
Yes.
How do you factor that into the bidding versus potentially not getting those at the same time? The chat, Murph saying this is going to be a lot of chains, and I think they're right.
Yes, I agree. I think for Boss Eric's daughter to really have a chance, I think this is going to be I think it's going to be at least I'm going to say 16 chains. Now,
16 chains.
now, I am a very aggressive chain bidder because I have played with a deck that is in the tier that Bossar Eric's daughter is, in that it's not like a strong Archon solo deck, but I know it so well that it's a brilliant full adaptive deck for the game three because I can beat it even if I have 16, 18 chains on a really strong deck. I can still beat it because I know exactly what its outs are and I know how to shut those down until until the deck with chains turns on after it gets into single digit or really six and under chains. So we'll see. We'll see.
Not tonight in the chat saying, don't think it'll go that high. Eric's daughter can also be very explosive. We haven't really seen it, but
Mm,
everybody has seen it in this tournament because Ashitaka has been playing it a lot.
okay. So that might have to factor in and keep the chains a bit lower. The chains being bid for the Dark Tidings deck now.
I'm guessing Quickdraw has a little bit of advantage here. I'm guessing they practice this matchup a lot, so they probably have a number in mind.
Hmm. That is the strategy to make sure you have a number in mind when you're going into chain bidding, so you can stick to it.
Yep.
So some considering going on here. We're seeing Quick Draw taking a moment after Ashitaka bids five chain. So I think my guess was probably way too high as far as how strongly Quick Draw is considering even putting six chains on on the Dark Tidings deck here. However, I tend to be less scared of the chains than other people. Maybe to my fault.
Yeah, I think the question is, can the explosiveness happen with so many chains? And Not Tonight makes a great point. It doesn't really have a lot of ember control. So if Eric's
Hmm.
daughter gets rolling, it won't be able to slow it down.
That's a good point. We have been lauding Eric's daughter's lack of amber control, but there's not. It's really just little bits of amber control here and there. Although Faust could be a big hit. Amber Vac is pretty strong, so
Wow.
it's definitely not big.
And
So
quick,
thank you, Fabulosing.
yes, Fabulosin was with Zach thinking the change should go higher, but Quick Draw lets Ashitaka have it for 5, so I think they definitely had the chains in mind.
So my prediction with only 5 chains, which is so much less than my guess, which I mean, I'll stand by my reasoning, of course. I do like the opinions coming in from the chat. I think the Dark Tidings deck takes this one with only 5 chains. That's not much of a hit. That's not much of a hit. And maybe Boss Art Eric's daughter does pop off more often than we've seen before. Unsure. So
Well, I think there's the option that Boss pops off more, but there's also the option that the French deck does not have the same huge plays that we saw in the first two games.
that's true. That's true that you could simply not draw into that strong of a hand for sure. Director of ZYX getting at least one archive off here. A bond coming for some protection facing down Ashitaka's Saurian line already. Quintina, Alum, and Pterodactyl.
And having the director there is actually really nice for quick draw, getting a couple protect the weaks on it too. Let's see how long it survives. That
Interesting.
could provide the extra speed they need early on.
Yeah, and I'm wondering I can't really question quick draw in this. I'm just wondering why the protect the weaks on the director and not a bond, although the director is one more armor and elusive, so that's a lot more work. I just my part of my gut says you want to protect the creature with the really powerful effect, but we'll see. Yep, the director right in the can. Their funding has been removed. Your grant is revoked. Get out of here. You'll never be published.
So Ashitaka with the early board control, they're already down the two chains. Quick draw taking a think on what to do next.
Yes. It's back over to quick draw with a bond the armor smith. One of those creatures that I love the art, I love the concept, but it feels like one of those creatures that was victim to Age of Ascension getting shorted on play testing. It's just not a very helpful creature. Oh, Exhume for the director. Tentacus coming out with the rostrum in play. Gotta love that. There's now 5 amber on the table for the Age of Ascension deck as Ashitaka plays Ambervac, grabbing that tide.
And Zap
Oh,
makes quick life with the director funding taken again.
it's tough being a cyborg scientist out there. Everybody's coming after you all the time with their zaps and their venators. I hate it when venators come after me, man. It's rough. Back over to quick draw after a speedy turn from Ashitaka. The life of an academic. That's right, Fudgenator. Helper banishes the pterodactyl. Setterkin comes down. Shouldn't be too hard to deal with the Setterkin. It does have that one armor and one friend. So we'll see what Ashitaka chooses to do and chooses to deal with as quick draw is on check for that first key. This is the furthest ahead we've seen the Age of Ascension deck.
Okay, in Untamed they go. They start with a Deepwater Gruin. Do they have a
Mm,
combo here? Beach Day for the Deepwater Gruin. Key Frog.
okay.
Do we have
Mm.
Witch of the Dawn?
Can we make sure we dodge the as yet unspotted? Oh, checking at 8.
So
Checking at
no
8.
big combo here, and leaving the Sutterkin.
Leaving the Setterkin, and if now it's 6 cards in hand, 19 in draw. Not sure where that cutthroat research is,
Indeed.
but Ashitaka attempting it. We've only seen 3 logos cards. We've only seen 3 logos cards. So the math doesn't even favor, oh, there's only a few logos cards left. If they have cutthroat research, is going to be a tough call. There might be plenty of cards in hand with cutthroat research if it's there.
And they do go in the logos.
Now, shout out to Not Tonight's comment. That's the life of a combo deck under chains. That's a very good point. Not tonight. That's a very good point. Archiving a card off the top of deck with ZYX Researcher. Do we have? Okay, there's the Setterkin Reap, drawing 3 cards. And the Exalt, of course, off of the Quintina. There's the
And
Cutthroat
getting the
Research,
cutthroat
stealing 2.
research.
Mm,
Huge value.
yes. and Quick Draw choosing to go ahead and reap. And because even though if Ashitaka gets that amber, the math is if you're ahead, you can give your opponent 1 for 1 amber all day. If of course they're not getting amber or key cheats from anywhere else. Which newsflash, Ashitaka's got some extra amber and key cheats. So we'll see. We'll see if that's the right call going out here. It's certainly a risky one. I love the confidence.
Yeah, and look at this call from Quickdraw, taking the tide, taking the three chains from the tide.
Oh,
I remember very clearly him talking in the bottom of a beaker episode of there's only like three cards in DT where you want to take the tide. So what is he worried of here?
I wonder if that must be this must be because there's going to be more Gruen plays. We've only seen one beach day out
Yeah.
of one, but there's another Deepwater Gruen and a bunch of which of the Dawns, and so that would force Ashitaka to take the Tide. I don't know how many Tide takers they have. Just
Uh,
the Ambervac. Wait, just the Ambervac and Washed Away.
yeah. I think you're right there. They're already ahead, and so they want to make sure that they stay ahead and they get paid for any extra Deepwater Gruins, or they at least slow down Ashitaka by them having to take the tide again.
Yeah, because the only Tide taker, I believe, is Washed Away. If the tide is high, destroy each artifact, otherwise raise the tide. So Washed Away is the only way to raise the tide without taking chains. And if Ashitaka really needs those to not give, okay, so Quick Draw's on 5. If a Deepwater Gruen comes down, that gets Quick Draw to 6. And Ashitaka does not want to give Quick Draw that second key for free. They'd have to take the chains, but what that would slow them down even more. So I think that's a very strategic choice for Quick Draw here. Not tonight
Indeed.
saying she likes taking the tide if you're ahead. It can totally bury the deck that is fighting to come back. So, yes, very good insight. Very good insight. Not tonight. That is a very, very interesting plays from Quick Draw. I really like it.
And another wrinkle of bringing a DT deck to adaptive, another decision point when to raise the tide,
Mm-hmm.
another way to stay ahead when you are ahead.
Yep. Quick Draw has really put Ashitaka in a difficult place here. Ashitaka has 5 cards in hand, one in the archives, has only seen a few pieces of the real big combos here. So the Age of Ascension deck with no amber control, except for the one we just saw happen last turn, is so far in a strong position, especially with Quick Draw's choice to grab that tide. Because if a Deepwater Gruen plays or reaps while that tide is low, that is the second key for Quick Draw.
Right, and Ashitaka still has to take care of that Sutterkin.
Oh, yeah, you're very right. I mean, how many other let's see. We have one other logos creature in the discard pile. So there is another ZYX researcher. There's Project ZYX that could come down and just boost that draw a little bit more to start dropping wild wormholes for speed. Or I think we've seen the poke.
They do go on the
We
Star
have not
Alliance,
seen
they get the Technobabble to stun the Sutterkins, so they at least take care of it for a turn, and here
it.
comes
Hmm.
Gross and Hings.
Oh wow. Okay. Yes. So they both come down out of hand. Interesting. They were both in hand. And so they've come down, no ready and use tricks, of course. So they're going to hang out there. If that's allowed to live, it could really pop off. But let's see how Quicktar responds. Radiant Truth, stunning everything not on a flank. That is a great play. That is a great play.
And Shield of Justice so that the Aban can take out either Hings or Gross.
Hmm. Taking out the gross. Yep.
Getting a check at 9 Ember.
Check at 9, taking out that one threat. Untamed. I wonder if we're going to see. I wonder if we're going to see. Okay, Chelonia. If we see a Witch of the Dawn here, we could get a huge Hings and Gross play, but we'll see.
And a huge play to get them off a bunch of Ember if they take the tide here for the Evil Twin Chelonia, which could be huge for them.
That's true. Oh, and persistence hunting, which is picking a house. So can't target, unfortunately, the 3 unstunned creatures. They're going to have to pick one. But if they hit Logos, they get to exhaust. Okay, so picking the Tentacus, exhausting the Tentacus, which is a 5/2 right now. Deepwater Gruen exhausting, Key Frog exhausting.
Probably assuming that Quickdraw will soon go in the disc because they haven't played a lot of discs.
Mm, yep. Some good future sight there. Growth surge on Chelonia, Hings, and Keyfrog.
Trying to keep the Chelonia around. They're probably going to need it to get back in this game.
Man, I am getting so excited trying to and waiting for what Ashitaka does next. Part of me is just really wanting to see this huge combo DT turn, and I'm going to be so sad if they haven't drawn into it.
Yeah. Here comes Washed Away. They use it to take
Mm,
the tide.
yeah, because they would have to. Yes, yes, and that's perfect because it doesn't kill the rostrum and they don't take the tides. Oh, and that's the turn. Quick draw, forging with 3 amber left over. Oh, okay.
And they drew three
Oh
more
man.
cards. If they get a Witch of a Dawn in one of those cards, they still potentially have a chance here. But will that Chelonia survive?
Yeah, the Chelonia would need to survive. Nothing else is big enough to take it out, so that would be a lot of work on Quick Draw's part. And we haven't seen. Let me scroll my scroll bar here. Yeah, no Witch of the Dawns yet. Oh, the Life Ward only now coming down. It's not going to be on for next turn, but that means the clock is ticking. That means the clock is ticking. Zeramis with the comment they could technically forge 2 keys in one turn if they drew perfectly. So we'll see.
Oh,
So
this is
Life Ward,
coming down
Yerk,
to the
Exhume for
wire.
Director.
Oh,
Yep.
and Quick Draw one off of getting a check for that third key.
Mm. I think Quick Draw pushed as hard as the draw would let him. That Life Ward coming down, that's a huge threat against Ashitaka right now. If Ashitaka doesn't pop off this turn, it's there's going to start to be getting to a corner here.
And
Going to start to
exhuming
get
the
into a corner.
director. Yeah, I think it's now or never for Ashitaka, although Quickdraw really has to be worried about what Zeramis was just talking about, drawing into Evil Twin
Hmm.
Witch of the Dawn, being able to forge out of turn with the Key Frog.
That's right. You could potentially have 5 or more cards off of a Hing's Gross combo here with your Witch of the Dawn Evil Twins, which would let you just continue to draw into whatever else you have left in Untamed, maybe the other Witch of the Dawn Evil Twin, all while dropping a ton of creatures, draining that Amber with Chelonia, drawing off of Hings, and maybe forging that second key off of Keyfrog. There's a light at the end of the tunnel that Ashitaka is. If Ashitaka can just drain the half court shot, right? If they can just Steph
The
Curry this, there's a chance.
possibilities are endless, but do they even have it? They are thinking. I'm guessing if they're thinking, they don't have the Witch of the Dawn. So, what else could they have here? They haven't gone Saurian for a while. They might be clogged up with Saurian. We haven't seen the
Oh, that's a good point, Zeramis.
Faust the Great yet either.
Zeramis bringing out a good point that, and Quick Draw, I think, knows how to play against Tings and Gross in this way, where Gross is the one that's in the discard pile. So Hings would have to somehow get in the discard pile, come back out, and Gross would also have to come back out, and they don't search the discard pile for each other. So that's actually it's there's going to be several more steps to getting Hings and Gross to fire here, if it's even possible.
Yeah, that's a great point, and a reason why these smart players have always been killing the gross instead of the Hings.
I did notice that in an earlier game and did not say anything because I was confident I had that it was the right play, but I hadn't fully analyzed it in my own brain. Zeramis saying, not that I've played 500 games of DT recently, but I think Zeramis has played 500 games of DT recently.
Still thinking a critical turn here. So much in play. The Key Frog, the Chelonia.
A
Quick Draw
couple of
getting some
threats on the other side.
extra
Yep.
value with Director again.
Can't use the rostrum with the Tentacus in play, of course.
Yeah. And having to worry about being life warded next turn, which would turn off
Mm,
any
yep,
last turn shenanigans to get them a Key Frog with a Witch of the Dawn play.
that's right. And if Quick Draw could go a bit higher in Amber, The Faust, which I don't believe is in the discard, yeah. The Faust would have a lot of work to make up without anything exalted. Um, oh, and of course, with the life ward popped, that would.
Yep.
I'm checking for any amber control that isn't creatures that would actually work here.
It has to be this
There's
turn,
Yeah, because the Ambervac takes too long to turn on,
and it's already in
and
the
then
discard.
oh, yep, you're right. There is Xeno training. Xeno training would be perhaps the only hope if the worst happens here.
Yeah, and Quickdraw still with a number of creatures that could possibly even just reap to get to check in all three houses.
Hmm. Yeah, Fudgeinator saying Ashitaka has to win or generate enough advantage for 2 turns right now. Sadakin's a problem, absolutely. Ashitaka saying doesn't work as I want. Obviously, mathing out a lot of different possible sequencing paths here. Ashitaka going untamed. We'll see what is the most value they can squeeze out of this turn. It is stunned. I don't know if, yeah, I don't know if there's a way for it to ready and use. I don't think so. It is a problem if the game goes longer than another turn or two,
Yeah.
somehow, for sure. It's a closer.
Ashitaka going in untamed. Here comes the second Deepwater Gruin.
Mm-hmm.
So they can easily get one key with the Key Frog.
That's right.
And
Gotta
they,
loving that math on the Gruin and Chelonia there. Great math.
yeah, gain two, make them lose one.
That's right. The 5-power Chelonia, Key Frog, Deepwater Gruin. I'll have to see what else is going to come out here. Ashitaka still evaluating that sequencing. Deepwater Gruin fights the Tentacus.
Interesting.
Okay. It's going into the discard pile for the Witch of the Dawn, I'm sure. We might see a Reap on a Key Frog here, and then a Witch of the Dawn. Oh, and that Quintina still alive.
Well, here comes the Witch of the Dawn, so they'll get their key.
Mm-hmm.
Will they be able to get to check here? They're gonna take some more Ember away while also giving them one if they kill the Key Frog, which they do.
Yep, there it is. So if Ashitaka takes the L here, they're at least going down with 2 keys. Uh, Deepwater Gruin coming again from the Witch of the Dawn play. That's a Reap and Exalt. Can Okay, there's a
Ooh.
few. Oh no, that is it at 5 amber. Oh,
So they don't get to
okay. This
check, and they
No.
can't use the life ward will definitely be popped this turn, so they won't be able to
Yep,
use
have to.
creatures.
Won't be able to play
Oh
creatures,
yeah.
but there's enough on the board. There's enough on the board that this is closer than I thought it would be. That exalting off of their own Quintina definitely a bit painful, but it's only going to matter if that amber ends up in Quickdraw's pool. Of course, one already did from the Key Frog, but let's see. Let's see where this goes.
And Quickdraw has also get to check here. They actually need 3 Ember. They can't do it on board alone.
Yes, and not tonight shouting out. Oh no, Fudge. Yes, Fudge acknowledging here. There is only one. We've only seen one of the Witch of the Dawns used, so of course we do anticipate that life ward coming down, stopping that second Witch of the Dawn.
Yep.
Quick Draw still selecting house, mathing out each of the possible lines here. Life Ward, of course, with Omni can be popped no matter what house Quick Draw calls here. Not a huge number of really, I mean, that's a lot of creatures on Quick Draw side, which is great. Not a lot of them presenting threats themselves. We are long past the Dark Tidings deck shedding the last of its chains, and Eric's daughter having a much stronger showing in this particular game than in the last two.
Yeah, and to your point, even with the life ward coming down, they might still have the saving grace of Xeno training to
Mm-hmm.
potentially get Quick Draw off for one more turn, which could potentially then allow them to draw into another Witch of the Dawn and bring
Mm-hmm.
back Key Frog or all other types of shenanigans.
Yep. But it looks like the only hope really, if Quick Draw gets to check, the only hope seems to be that Xeno training, just based on what's on the board here. Now there are two capture. Okay, both capture did end up on the console Prima, so those aren't going to be put on something else. Quick Draw going into Logos,
And taking their
taking the
archives,
archives.
they reap
Removes.
twice.
Hmm.
Project UIX, do they have another Ember here? Wild
Wild
Wormhole
Wormhole.
into Smite.
Smite.
Ooh,
That feels good.
yeah.
That
What will they
definitely
kill
feels good.
here?
Readying and fighting with Tentacus. What are they going to aim into? So that's feeling good. Oh, that's probably going to get Quick Draw at least one more amber off of. Well, if they go for the Gruen, they could get an amber there, and they're safe from the Witch if they life ward. But that is then betting that the
Yeah,
game ends before a second Witch makes an appearance.
this is a tough choice for them here, even who to fight. Fighting the
Yeah.
Hings would potentially make them capture one less if they have the Xeno training.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good point. That math is a very good point. Because
Oh,
assuming the life ward pops, Xeno training is the only way this game is not over.
yeah. Not Tonight says Quick Draw needs to win on this turn.
Yep.
And they still might have more after the Smite. We'll have to see. They do fight the Hings. The
Yep.
life ward comes down. They get to check at 6. So if Ashitaka's got the Xeno training, they can stop them. They go quickly in the Star Alliance.
Yeah, that's right. I love the speed of choices indicating perhaps something going on. There's the Xeno training. The game goes for another turn. Oh my gosh.
And they get to check, which is even bigger.
Came
Quick
down to the
Draw
Xeno
will
training.
not
That
be
is
able to
it.
stop them.
That is it. Oh
That
no.
is game.
It was whether or not the Xeno training was in hand. And of course,
Wow.
both players fighting so hard. Now, if either one of them had made any medium-sized or bigger mistakes, it would not have come to down to the Xeno training. But with such a strong match in skilled players, it came down. It came down to that card. Quick Draw, of course, knowing that and minimizing as much as possible the effect of the Xeno training.
And as one turn
Wow.
too late, they are going to have a nuts turn here, though, with Logos, with Sutterkin, with Project ZYX. But it's probably going to be one turn too late. So
Wow.
close.
Mm-hmm.
So the number of chains were right
Was right there.
on the razor's edge.
That's right. Amazing game three. Amazing game three. Radiant Truth coming down. Wow. Playing Sir Marrows off of the Project ZYX. Quick draw, I believe, with no key cheats, right? Wait, no, just
Correct.
redacted. Yeah, so no traditional key cheat. So that 14 amber gonna do absolutely nothing for quick draw here with
Mm.
Ashitaka taking the win here in Kagi, the Keyforge, as Garfield intended. League, full adaptive, very impressive run by Ashitaka. Absolutely amazing. Congratulations to everybody involved. Huge shout out to Quick Draw. Lots of good games to get here as well. Wow.
Well played, the Ashitaka. Lots of amazing decisions made during that game. Um, and congratulations. Third time's a charm for Ashitaka.
That's right.
Finally gets her Kagi title.
Fantastic. Yeah, Ashitaka saying, "I knew you couldn't play Hysteria." Yes, I think because that would have. Yes, there was enough Exalted Amber out there. Um, oh, and of course the Deepwater Gruin's going back up. If you didn't use Key Frog, it could have. Oh, I see. Okay, fantastic. Very good games by the players here. Very good games. Impressive stuff. Impressive stuff.
It's always exciting seeing really high level Keyforge being played. The decisions that are made, killing the gross over the hings, just those little things that make a difference over the course of a game. Okay, and Ashitaka is in the waiting room, so let us jump in there. Oh, that might be interesting for my audio here.
Oh, I'll make it easier. I have an appointment to keep, and so I'm gonna have to dip out.
Okay,
Now that the games themselves are over. But thank you everybody for watching. This was an awesome time, Zoe. Thank you for running this and for having me on alongside you. It was a privilege to watch that happen.
and thank you so much for joining us. You're always a pillar of the community, and love to have you here.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. All right. See you, everybody.
Take care. Thank you. Okay, let's us see about getting in some people to talk to here. Alrighty. Ashitaka, congratulations!
Thank you, thank you. It was really hard games, the three of us. It was really complicated. As usual, Quickdraw is a very good player, and congratulations to him to make its final grades.
Yes. Oh, they were very exciting matches. And third time's a time from you. This is the third time you've been to the final, and finally you have your title.
Yes,
Amazingly played, especially lots of decision points in that last game. And yeah, winning on the razor's edge there.
yes, it wasn't it wasn't easy to win, and a lot of decisions to take. The Quintana, I hesitated a lot of to play it at the beginning of the game, but at least it helped me because I don't know if he had the Hysteria during the
Mhm.
last turn, but because of Amber on the Logos cards, he cannot play it. And
Yeah,
also the second game, I was a nice first first end, but I wasn't sure because I don't know the deck, so maybe I will need the Witch of the Dawn later. But when I see the whole combo to make 10 Amber more one key, so I think it was a good play against my deck to start with this.
definitely. Both decks were definitely trying to race to the finish there, both having very limited Ember control, although it did come down to that Ember control on whether you had the Xeno training or not. And also the fact that you couldn't play creatures because of the life ward, which turned
Yes.
off the Evil Twin Chelonia and other potential shenanigans that you could do with the Evil Twin Witch of the Dawn.
Yes, yes. At least I keep the Watch of the Way. So the only card that can control the redacted and control the life ward. But I keep one turn, and the turn after I think, no, I have to play it because I have to find other solution. The game will not play on redacted or life ward. Oh, could it could, but I know I need some solution like other Amber or something like that to go ahead in the deck. So I think it was the right play to play it now. I already keep it one turn. Maybe it was one turn more, two more.
Well, yeah, it worked out. It came in right when you needed it. And obviously you had to get the tide high somehow so that you could get full value out of Gruen without giving them Ember, which would have given them enough to forge. Um, we do have a question from the chat here.
Yes.
How many chains do you think you would have gone to when bidding for that deck?
I think for me, I will stop at 6.
Okay.
Expected Quickdraw maybe will go at 7 because the witch combo is very, very good combo. With Keyfrog, you can make maybe two keys in one turn or at least in the game. So if the Keyfrog appears early, the witch can cycle the Keyfrog, and maybe you can do two keys. So as my deck didn't have a control of Umber, the Keyfrog can work even if I have 6 Umber and the Keyfrog is on the board. I can do nothing with my deck, so could be very complicated.
Yeah. Definitely a lot to keep in mind, especially when chain bidding it. We were Zach was definitely surprised of how low it went. Obviously, the first two games had the explosive combos coming out from that DT deck, but of course, the chains slow down those combos and the potential of them happening as well.
Yes, but at least in the first game, I was like, already 2 keys. Maybe I can make it, but just after the full combo with Bishop Zedon and the Officer Com and Officer Ings, Com Officer Go, sorry, and Com Officer Ings was so good from Quickdraw. So now it's 1 key, 9 number. I don't have my I don't remember. Sorry. My only control it's quick source research, so I don't have it when he went to 9. So I knew it was almost lost at this moment.
Right.
But at the beginning, I said not a bad start. But the 2 Axiom was played on York. I like to play it on the Helper bot to play it again and again and play other cards.
Mm.
Like my deck boss can do a lot of Umber very quickly, only with pips, and the logos board is available if you don't handle it. It will be a lose for sure because a lot of draw and combo with Project Zix. It's very good combo here.
Yeah, and we didn't really get to see that in any of the games until that last turn where it didn't matter from quick draw. But and Not Tonight was definitely also saying that in the chat that Eric's daughter can also really burst like that. And although both of you knew that too, and were trying to make sure that the board was kept under control.
Yes, with a stun at least or exhausted creature, he can control the board. And he has also the crushing charge. I have in my hand now, but could nothing instead clean the board for if I don't forge the last key.
Yeah. Not Tonight also asks, why did you bring Eric's daughter versus Quick Draw and not against her?
Because I know she know my deck boss,
Ah.
and I like to change some decks. Actually, I was thinking about a DT deck, but it's a DT in my lineup in NK fail, and I know I will play against Quickdraw soon, so I don't want to play twice the same deck versus Quickdraw. And as Quickdraw see last time my deck Leon, I don't want to play it again as they see me how to play it. But I assume not tonight on him. Maybe training this kind of matchup also.
Were you
Maybe.
surprised? Yeah. Were you surprised by the deck that Quickdraw brought?
No. It's a very good deck for adaptative. I think it's the first time I play it and I see it, but it's a very good deck with the witch and also the com officer. You can make a lot of combo, and it's hard to know how to maximize the full value of his deck. So I hope I give it honor to him, but to it, sorry. But yes, I think it's very good deck for adaptative. So no, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and I know especially there's a lot of great DT decks that you have and are in the French community. Fudgenator asked, did getting to see Quickdraw pilot it the first game help at all? Or, I mean, I think you probably have a lot of experience piloting decks like that anyway.
Not so much on Evil Twins with Witch.
Mm.
I didn't play a lot. So yes, it's helped me a little to see it, what combo it did with the Witch particularly. And yes, I try to make it the best during the second game when I can do it, and also during my last Anthem turn.
Were you worried at all that Quickdraw may have thought that you would bring this deck because you've played it before and been practicing a lot?
Mm, Not so much because you know I don't care because I don't want to care. It's a game. It's a fun. So if you take a deck, I don't know. It's cool. If you know my decks, it's okay. It's a game, and I like the challenge. I would say.
I love it. And not tonight saying very insightfully, evil decks are so rare that they by definition are good adaptive strategy. Uh,
Yes, I
And
think.
then in the chat we have I'm not sure exactly how to say their name. Fokker saying the AFK, the French Keyforge Association versus Sloppy Labwork, the friendly battle that keeps on going.
Yes, always. we love, we love to play each other with Black Pork. It's a great team, and each time the match are very complicated.
Excellent. Yes. Amazing win. Is there anything else that you thought was key to this matchup, or anything that you were thinking of during the matches that you wanted to bring up?
I think we said already a lot, but yes, the redacted, the wash away, the the double Deepwater Green, the double witch, the key frog, all these kind of cards was very important for the matchup and for the win or the lose. And for the last word, thank you to have it in live, and thank you to Murph to organize these great leagues.
Yes, thank you, Murph, organizing KAGI 7.0, a great stalwart of the game, of this league. And congratulations so much, Ashitaka. Nachinite says, welcome to the KAGI Winners Club. An amazing accomplishment. Been here 3 times in the final, more than anybody else. Finally getting your win. Getting revenge from the KAGI 3.0 finals where Quickdraw beat
Yes,
you. And yeah, very well deserved. Amazing play shown by both of you tonight, and congratulations on coming out with a victory.
thank you very much.
Anything else that you wanted any shout outs you want to give or anything else?
Everyone's come to the next KG leagues.
Come to the next KAGI leagues. Yes, excellent. And I'm also looking forward to you versus Quickdraw at the end of the NKFL season.
Yes, it will a very complicated game, I assume also.
Yes.
I'm not ready yet.
Okay. Thanks so much for your time, Ashitaka. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
and have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
All right, we're going to pull in Quickdraw here. Quickdraw, hello.
Hey, good morning to you, Zach. Very early morning.
Yes, but I am fully awake now after that exciting Keyforge. Congratulations on getting to another KAGI final. This one didn't go quite to, I'm sure, how you hope, but a very exciting final, and it was really came down to the razor's edge there.
It did. Yeah, like I'm not that mad, to be honest with you. I think I played really well. I think Ashitaka played nearly perfectly. The games were just really exciting games, really fun. I hope you guys all enjoyed watching them. It was just as much fun to play them.
Oh, we had a blast. Zach and I were definitely commenting. Every turn had so many decision points, but you could see kind of the very kind of insightful thinking that each player was doing going through each turn to try and set themselves up for success and try and prevent kind of what they knew was coming from their opponent's deck.
Yeah, the first two games, I definitely expected Flores, the deck that I brought, to win. Game one was probably about how I expected most games to go in that matchup. Game two, he obviously had that really good draw early, and I knew at that point the game was over with no Amber Control in Eric's daughter. So then I was just kind of thinking about game three at that point and the bidding strategy, and I thought the bid was really good. I don't think I could have won with six. I think Flores has a lot of chances to draw kind of poorly, and I did not want to take the risk of bidding six there. I think he surely would have let me have it for six. And then, obviously, as an opposing player against a DT, you can often raise the tide to try to force them to take some chains that way too. Which, when you're above 4 chains in adaptive, it gets it a lot harder. And so I didn't want to get into that position where he was probably going to pressure me with taking some extra chains and raising. And Eric's daughter is efficient enough that it can handle that. And that was actually the one mistake I made, is I only did that once. I should have done it the turn before last in game three. And I think it may have made the difference. That may have been the big enough mistake to swing it, because he said that he drew his Xeno training late, and I knew he needed the tide to trigger the Chelonia. So and maybe it wasn't a difference. I don't remember if he had the washed away that turn or not. I think maybe that was the turn before. So that may have been the difference maker right there.
Yeah, he said he had held the wash away one turn and it was thinking about holding it another turn, but wanted it, of course, for raising the tide there. Yeah, and that's a great insight as well. Just that, raising the tide one more time could have made the difference. I mean, the chains drawing into your outs, it was so close there at the end.
Yeah, I had one chain at the time. I think it was end of turn six, I believe it was for me, and I had one chain still left after that turn. And so when you raise the tide with a chain, it's not going to hurt you that turn. It's going to hurt you a couple turns after that. And the game was almost over at that point, that it wouldn't have made a difference to me, and so it would have potentially been the difference maker for him.
Yeah, definitely. And Ashitaka was saying they weren't sure how high they would go on the change, probably 6 or 7, so kind of right around exactly where you were saying too. Not sure if knowing if you could win with 6, and we we were kind of talking about it, while you were bidding. Based off the first two games, there was a few in the chat, and Zach was thinking this is going to be a lot of chains, but not tonight said, Eric's daughter can be very explosive as well. And then I was also thinking, we saw kind of the best of the best from the combos from that DT deck in those first two games, and chains will definitely slow that down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I knew that game two was a high roll. I've never done that with that deck before, what he was able to do on turn two. And so I was kind of just hoping that he saw that and was like, "Oh wow, this deck is amazing." Like I'm gonna like overbid on it. He made a really good bid though. So he went straight to 3, I think. And then I went 4, he went 5. I was hoping he would go 6 right there.
Yeah.
A lot of times in adaptive, you bid to 6 to try to force your opponent to take the plunge if they want to go to 7. He gave me the opportunity to go to 6, which was interesting because I did not want to go to 6. So I was kind of hoping that he would take that strategy of going straight to 6 after I had bid 4.
Yeah, both very experienced adaptive players, knowing even in the bidding strategy, kind of trying to get every little ounce that they can. It was close, but very exciting. So, another question I got is, did you practice this matchup and how much?
I did not. No, I know Ashitaka has a number of decks that he's historically brought to adaptive. This is the deck he brought in KAGI 3 when I played him in the final, so I've seen it before, familiar with it. I chose not to test any specific matchups though. I actually anticipated he would bring something entirely new, and so I just found it more valuable for me to just play as many games as I could with this deck, Flores, just to get used to it even more before this week. So I didn't practice anything specific that he might have brought.
Great. And what did you learn along the way? A question from Murph in the chat.
In this game or throughout?
Of each other's decks and throughout.
I like I said, I knew Eric's daughter. I knew it had virtually no amber control. There were a few cards that I thought were going to be key that just didn't end up making a difference. One was Lord Golgotha. He discarded and exhumed it early, and then I was trying to purge it immediately in game one, which I did. And then I never got a chance to play it. But it is good because if Flores can establish a board, the Chelonia can be really hard to handle. Unless, like, if you put the encounter suit on it. Like, I don't know if Eric's daughter could handle a Chelonia with encounter suit if it doesn't have Lord Golgotha. So I anticipated that being a bigger impact than it was. I was kind of surprised, I guess, that Eric's daughter didn't really get through its deck in any of the games. Flores is not typically a deck that will like burst like that so early. It's it's inconsistent as a deck, and it showed some really good consistency here, even with 5 chains. I don't know if that answers the question. Kind of just talking through like some
Yeah.
things that may have surprised me.
Well, yeah, it kind of did get to combo off in all three games, and probably didn't have as clunky of hands as maybe you've seen when playing it before. So that was probably one of the factors there. You're getting a lot of shout outs in the chat from Fabulous and Murph. Thanks for representing DT. And we were also talking about how DT is so great also for adaptive because you have that extra decision point of the tide plus the extra chains that go along with it, which really has an impact, especially if you already hedge chains, kind of just as you mentioned.
Yeah, and I think DT is Murph's going to appreciate this. DT is the best set, but it's not just the best set. It's like, in my opinion, clearly the best set for adaptive. A lot of players aren't familiar with the cards, especially if they're evil twins. There's a lot more strategy involved. It's much more difficult to pick up a DT deck you've never seen and play it before, compared to any old sets. Not just from people's experience. Like people have been playing Mass Mutation for a very long time now, and those are generally the most popular decks that you see anywhere in events. So like you're not really surprising anyone if you bring a Mass Mutation deck. So Dark Tidings, I think, really shakes things up a bit, makes it harder for them to play in game 2, and I just can't say enough good things about the set, obviously.
Yeah, and Ashitaka even said, they didn't have as much experience playing evil twin decks, and even this one has, a few unique ones that maybe people have never played with the evil twin Magistra Vita, the Lapisaurus, and of course the crazy Witch of the Dawn combos.
Yeah, the Witch of the Dawn combos are my favorite right now. This deck has just a beach day to replay them, so it doesn't have a lot of like repeatability with the combo. Other decks that have more recursion, like a Ritual of Life or a World Tree with the witches, can do it like every turn. And this is a little bit less than that, so it really needs to combo off once. It needs to kind of play into that one big turn. Fortunately, he wasn't really able to get that in game 3. He kind of did have it in game 2, but that was more of just a factor of having all those pips on the Groons and the Key Frog early on. That was just highly unusual to see that in game 2. But a lot of times, if you get the Chelonia out and you start like looping the witches and other creatures, you just kind of erase all their amber in a single turn. And I was really nervous about that happening the turn before last, but thankfully it didn't, and I had a chance to win there. Like if he had the Xeno training, he won. If he didn't have it, then I won. And so he had about 12 cards left in deck at the time, and I said, I've just got to get the check here and use the life word because all of his Amber control is creature based except for the Xeno training. So just turned out that he gave me just enough that I could still get the check, but he had the Xeno training, so couldn't quite get over the hump.
Yeah, oh, so close. It was a good bet to take with 12 cards left. That's a third of the deck, so decent
Yeah.
odds.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a bet. I mean, just it was like my only out, really. You know, it was my
Yeah.
only chance to win that game because he was at 5 Amber. I was hoping that he didn't trigger his Key Frog when he did. If he didn't trigger his Key Frog there, I win the game on a Hysteria life word. Because he had left just enough Amber on his side of the board, thanks to Quintana, to get me to check if I had played a Dis turn, Reap twice, Hysteria, and Exhume. I would have, I think, had 7 or 8. And without any creatures being able to be played with Life Word, that would have been game had he not triggered his Key Frog the turn before. So it was a really good play by him to make sure he got value out of that Key Frog immediately.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely a showcase for DT today. Love seeing the crazy combos. Lots of exciting plays by both players in the final. So
Yeah, I wish
yeah.
Eric's daughter would have had that. I had that huge turn at the end there. I wish it would
Oh
have come like
yeah.
a turn earlier. But obviously he let the setter can live because he knew that he was going to win. I mean, so that was a little not indicative. But I wish that it could have come together a little bit earlier in that game with the logos. Didn't see a ton of logos early.
Yeah, and we were talking about that. It didn't really go. Eric's daughter didn't really have a chance to show what it can do, kind of in any of the 3 games, except when it was too late there already in the 3rd game.
Yeah, it's not it's a great deck, and it's not a particularly bad matchup. But I had a very bad draw with it game 2, and I knew that as well. Like when he played his big untamed turn on turn 2, and I had a very bad mulligan into like 2 exhumes and Call the Weak and a banish, which is just terrible on turn 1. Um, so Eric's daughter is much better than that, and I think he and I both know that.
Definitely. And I also told Ashitaka I'm also looking forward to the rematch in NKFL, the last game of NKFL Season 20. Of course, as Quickdraw versus Ashitaka in your group together. Both of you are in the top 3 of your group. That should be an exciting finale of that season as well.
Yeah, we've had that one circled on our calendars since the beginning, I believe, and we were hoping that it would come down to that match to determine the winner of the group, and it might. It's going to be really close. I have to play Sith of Angmar first next week, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to play him again in KFL.
Yeah, so congratulations again on getting to another final. Do you have any other shout outs or anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, just again, thanks to you for streaming. I can't wait to go back and watch the video again. And then obviously Murph for organizing this once again. It's my favorite event. I say it every week. It's really good. I can't wait for KAGI 8. And props to my team as well for helping me in the preparation this week. I got some games in against JT, got to talk some strategy with everyone. So just been, a good week of prep and a lot of fun leading up to the finals of KAGI.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Quickdraw. Congratulations. Thank you, Murph, for putting on this amazing tournament, KAGI, and thanks to all the viewers. Super exciting finale. Congratulations to Ashitaka for taking it down. And that's all for today. What amazing final. Looking forward to the next season of KAGI. Make sure you go to the Sanctimonious Discord, #KAGI. That's where you get all the news on the next season of KAGI from Murph. Yeah.
And if I didn't say it already, huge congrats to Ashitaka. Super well earned. It's been so many seasons of KAGI where you deserved it. So I am genuinely happy for you. Congratulations.
All right. Very, very nice. And yes, very well deserved. Okay. With that, we're going to shut it down. Thanks everybody for watching. And have yourselves a wonderful day, wonderful evening, morning, wherever you're at. And as always, forge responsibly.